If you haven't got problems, I feel bad for your son. I got 99 problems and a bitch ain't.
All right, I'm Levi Hawley,
I'm Frankie O'Game.
and this is the Mob Squad. We're going to go ahead and run you through the Democratic debate in New Hampshire and give our opinions on a couple of topics. Frankie, you want to kick us off with gun control, gun policy, right?
Yes, Levi, I would like to start on gun control.
All right, then kick us off.
All right, so they're talking about gun control and how really, Levi, they want to just do a worldwide banning of it, background check.
Well, I wouldn't say too much of a ban. I'll go ahead and give us some facts so
Okay.
we go and kick off a little bit better. All of them talk about this huge travesty with the sale of the automatic weapons, of course. And, of course, it is a travesty with all these recent mass shootings and such. But they all go ahead, they talk about their policies, but none so more than Bernie Sanders,
Correct.
who's talked about his time in Vermont passing gun control measures, including those background checks, along with raising the legal age you can actually buy a firearm to 21. And he does support that national background check, along with the ban of gun show loophole where people go to gun shows and they'll buy those automatic weapons. Given your background, Frankie, I understand you have some.
Yeah, I do. I got a little bit of
this,
opinions, and I would have to say, Levi, with Bernie, he has a point with the gun shows and the loopholes because, yes, given my background and my past, we did used to go down to Nevada, and we would get automatic firearms, extended clips, and scope, you name it.
Those bump stocks that he wants to ban so
Oh,
bad.
absolutely. So, coming from that past, I completely understand and do agree,
Okay, so you do agree with what Bernie says in what he wishes to actually do with these national background checks as well, along with every other candidate with the ban of these automatics, correct?
Right, correct.
Okay, yeah, I was believing the same thing too, but I do like how Bernie did go on this. Speaking of Bernie, we can move on to healthcare and Bernie's Medicare for All and how he was laid into by others. He was laid into, of course, by Joe Biden.
Right.
Believe it or not, the nice old man. He talks about how Bernie is just going to raise the middle class price for all of us middle class folk when we talk about Medicare for All. And he, of course, goes into his idea, which is Medicare if you want it, and if not, you can go into other options like Obamacare.
Right.
Opinions on this and other people with the healthcare.
My opinions on this, Levi, I'd probably have to say I tend to lean a little bit with Bernie due to the fact that I feel like, if you feel like you need the help, take the help.
Mm-hmm.
If not, don't. I feel like that's kind of an issue nowadays with...
So you're leaning more towards Biden because Bernie says give it to everyone.
Right, Biden, excuse me, yeah, so I do feel more on Biden, my part, excuse me for that, just because, a simple fact, I'm one myself that I'm not going to take something that I don't need,
mm-hmm.
And I just feel like it's more common nowadays in this world, and, it's...
In other countries, first world countries like Britain and such, giving this healthcare aid. Klobuchar, of course, I'll run through the other candidates real quick. Klobuchar goes ahead, says that Bernie's plan will kick 140 million people off of healthcare, and Warren wants to just lower the price of prescriptions. Yang and Tom Sauerbrand say, yeah, of course, we'll help.
Yeah.
They don't really go too deep into it. And Buttigieg avoids the question entirely by just saying change. We're going to change it and we'll move forward. Yeah, Medicare and whatever. And speaking of Pete Buttigieg, we can go ahead and... Well, not Buttigieg, per se. We'll touch on drug policy later because he does come into that. We can go ahead and talk about racing for Pete Buttigieg because he was torn into by, I believe, Klobuchar or Warren. One of those two. He was torn into for not even knowing how bad it actually was out there for African Americans. And how, during his time in race, the crime rate did raise up by a lot in his 7-year term.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on Buttigieg not really knowing anything like that?
My thoughts are, I would have to say, a little disappointed, I guess, if that's the word to use.
Disappointed in the nation, I suppose, about how bad it has gotten.
Yes, and I feel like with him trying to put himself into the candidate race, he should have dug more deeper into that and, been prepared for those type of questions and topics because, that's, considered a major issue right now in our country. And I just, like I said, a little disappointed. I felt like I wanted to hear him speak on it in his personal opinion. I want to hear his words, more or less.
To go off of that, it was Warren, not Klobuchar. I'm sorry for my mistake. But it's Warren who does say that Buttigieg's response was not good enough. She says that race shouldn't be talked about criminally, but in all aspects of race, such as education and racial equality.
Right.
Steyer, of course, talks about that unity is the biggest thing to increase the voter turnout, which, of course, Democrats are about unity amongst those minority groups and giving help to all. And Steyer reiterates a point of reparations. Anything on those? How do you feel about Warren talking about race in all aspects and Steyer even saying all for reparations?
I like both of their opinions, and I just appreciated their detail to it and having a say in it. And they both, in my opinion, knew what they were talking about from their side of the view.
Mm-hmm. Biden, funny enough, was attacked by Steyer when Steyer asked John Biden to, or well, not John, but Joe.
Yeah.
Very similar names.
Yeah, I guess
Joe,
we're both messing up today.
We're both messing up. A different episode of Mob Squad. Not on point. Not posted, as we would say.
Absolutely.
Joe Biden is attacked by Steyer, saying he needs to join his Black Caucus, which Biden interjects, you should join mine since mine is double the size of yours. And Bernie, funnily enough, does come to the support of Joe Biden, saying that, hey, it doesn't matter what he's saying because he's tried to do his best moving forward in life as opposed to what he did previously. Bernie, as Bernie does, talks about investing in healthcare and education.
Yes.
Any points on this being one of a different background?
My points for the healthcare and education that Bernie has spoken on is... I'm a little conflicted, Levi, with, of course, Bernie with the education and everything and wanting to pay and,
and coming in support of Joe Biden, but always interjecting his own ideas.
Yeah, so it just surprised me a little, him actually,
to come in and always stand by it so closely.
Yeah.
No matter what the topic with race as well, and understanding them. With the impeachment going underway, or having come close to a close. Well, it was a bit close. Joe Biden calls for Lieutenant Colonel Vindman to receive a standing ovation for testifying after being removed from the White House for testifying against Trump. How do you feel about it? I feel rather bad about it, but this can be expected from a president like Trump.
Do you feel bad about him being removed from his position, or...
No, it's easy to understand why he was removed.
Yeah.
You're testifying against your boss, trying to kick the big wolf out of his den.
Yes.
Wolf's going to come bite you if he's not removed.
Absolutely. My opinion on that is, some people can see it as bravery, him speaking out on it. But also, I look at it
as stupid.
Yeah, stupid. And where you're trying to cover up something on your end that you could potentially have been taking a fall for because you're thinking... the house is coming down, so...
Klobuchar, moving on to this point of impeachment, Klobuchar praises Romney for his vote to convict Trump on one article of the impeachment, not both, and everyone else, of course, calls this a sham trial for many reasons, such as the stopping of eyewitnesses and testimonies and evidence, of course, to just stop that completely. I'm sure you feel the same way with how it could be seen as a sham, I suppose.
Oh, yes.
We're going to go ahead and move on to drug policy. Buttigieg calls for the decriminalization of all use of drugs,
correct,
as well as stop the jailing of people for the possession of them. And they're calling for that reform in addiction, I'd say, is to help them instead.
Right.
And he as well says that pharmaceutical companies who marketed this and for the marketing of legal drugs, as he calls them,
yes,
and that led to addiction and suffering as such, would be held accountable for the pain they caused. Anything on that?
Yeah, I feel like him speaking out saying that the people pretty much, you're saying the doctors that prescribed it should be held accountable. And
well, the pharmaceutical
company. We have a pharmaceutical, yes, as well. But I have mixed opinions just due to the fact that there is people out there that needed this prescriptions. And yet again, you got to remember, when it's prescribed to you, it's prescribed to help you, not to abuse it. Mm-hmm. Now...
So you feel that some people will abuse it no matter what?
Yes. Yeah, I just feel absolutely that they will. You know, maybe it's too much of a temptation. So
once they're on it, how do you feel about them being marketed continually? You think they should be stronger to resist this?
Yes, I feel stronger to resist it. And it just... I feel there's a lot of pointing the blame at each other when it comes to our drug crisis and you know, it's just
instead of saying help. Speaking of help, Klobuchar calls for the treatment of the only way to truly help everyone and stop those repeat offenders. And Yang, of course, calls for the treatment as well, coming to the backing of her, but also the mandatory treatment centers where we can help people. Right. Do you believe that would help more so than just going after the heads of people, where everyone's saying, let's help these people?
I feel like it would help because there is clinics around the United States. I mean, we have a couple here in town, you know, the methadone clinics and so on and so forth. And I feel that it's probably best we do the clinics for the help, because we're never going to get nowhere, because it's always going to be he blames Sherry, her blames Sherry, you know what I'm saying?
And we're just avoiding the topic entirely of helping those who need that help.
We're in the need, There's people that are in need right now. There's people that are addicted, you know.
So I'd say you do agree with Yang and Klobuchar's points the most.
I have to agree with Yang on, yes.
All right. Well, we have no more points to really talk about. This has been the Mob Squad. Always remember to stay posted.
Stay posted.